Yeah.
Ismail Zamzam. Abshir Ismail.
Okay, merci. Write it down.
Yeah, write it down.
Just a second.
In memory of the late permanent representative of the Federal Republic of Somalia to the United Nations Office and to other international organizations in Geneva, His Excellency Ambassador Yusuf Mohamed Ismail. I would like to open the proceedings by inviting the Director General of UNOG, the United Nations Office at Geneva, Mr. Michael Moller, to say a few words. Mr. Moller.
Thank you. Dear Madam Zamzam Abshir, dear family and friends of Yusuf, dear colleagues and friends, thank you for joining us today for this solemn ceremony to pay tribute to our friend and colleague, Ambassador Yusuf Mohamed Ismail. Please let us start by you joining me in a minute of silence in his memory. The tragic news from Mogadishu that a cowardly terrorist attack had taken the life of our friend and colleague still seems unreal. Our sense of shock and anger was sadly only reinforced earlier this week when we lost 4 colleagues from UNICEF in another terrorist attack in Somalia, and we express our condolences to their families and friends as well at this difficult time. Just as our thoughts go to the families and friends of the victims of the recent attack by ISIL on Ethiopian nationals in Libya, and of all the too many victims of terror acts across our world these days. We are here to remember Yusuf, to pay our respect and to reaffirm our commitment to the defense of human rights that was at the heart of his work here in Geneva. And we're here to support and to show our solidarity with Madame Zamzam Abshir and all of the family on their loss. We are grateful for your strength in sharing this important moment with us. Each one of us is here with different personal and cherished memories, but they're all tied together by the way that our lives were touched by Yusuf's commitment to dialogue and understanding, his kindness and thoughtful nature, and his deep passion for a better future for the people of Somalia. The impressive turnout here today is a testament to the impact he had on everyone he met, diplomats, civil society, friends from all walks of life. Today we symbolically plant a tree in Yusuf's honor. We planted alongside trees dedicated to United Nations staff who also died serving the international community and working for our shared vision for a better world. Our wish is for his vision for peace and progress in Somalia and in the region to take root and for it to bloom and to inspire others. When Yusuf took up his functions in Geneva, he vowed that and I quote him, our partnership should yield tangible benefits for the most vulnerable among the Somali people in the most crucial period of the history of my beloved country, unquote. I believe that he achieved that, and his death is a deep loss to the people of Somalia. His focus was always on those who need us the most, victims of violence, women in situations of vulnerability, human rights defenders, persons with albinism, and others who look to the international community for support. He defended their rights and championed their cause. In his memory, we will continue advancing our shared goal of a world where all are treated with dignity and respect. He is and he will be much missed in our international Geneva family. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Director General. I would now like to invite Her Excellency Ambassador Yvette Stevens, Permanent Representative of the Republic of Sierra Leone to the United Nations, to say a few words.
Madame Zamzam Abshir, Mr. Director General of UNOG, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Galab Wanangsan. And for those who do not know, this is my attempt to greet you in Somali. As those who know the late ambassador would attest, he always spoke the local language to any occasion where he had to address. So this is my attempt to emulate him. Let me start by stating how honored I am to be presenting this brief tribute on behalf of the African Group to our dear friend and colleague, His Excellency Mr. Yusuf Mohamed Ismail. The death of Ambassador Yusuf Ismail is a great loss to the international community in Geneva in general and to the African Group in particular. During his diplomatic service as ambassador and permanent representative of Somalia in Geneva, he was instrumental in promoting and defending the core values of human rights and fundamental freedoms at the global, regional, sub-regional, and national levels. Globally, Ambassador Ismail stood for the human rights of the disadvantaged. In this connection, as the permanent representative of, and I quote, a small country with a big heart, he championed a number of human rights causes, including the fight against terrorism, violence against women, peace and security in the IGAD sub-region, and the enjoyment of human rights of persons living with albinism, for which he was passionate. He took the plight of these persons to the Human Rights Council in 2013, and since then, 4 resolutions on the subject have been adopted by consensus. It is both poignant and heartbreaking to observe that the last resolution, which called for the appointment of an independent expert on persons living with albinism, was passed by the Council the day before he was murdered. On hearing news of the passing of the resolution that very morning of the day of his assassination, he was reported to have expressed his commitment to, and I quote, the noble cause of the protection and promotion of the rights of our sisters and brothers with albinism worldwide, forever. In spite of the size of his mission, he participated actively in meetings held by the various entities, including those on disarmament and labor. On the international scene, he will be remembered for his coinage of the term camel milk diplomacy, depicting the purity of camel milk from Somalia, which is healthy and free of contamination and manipulation. Ambassador Ismail was a true African, and he was dedicated to the work of the African Union and IGAD. This was reflected in his active participation in the work of the African Group here in Geneva. He was the first ambassador to contribute financially to the celebrations of the 50th anniversary of OAU-AU. In spite of the small size of his mission, he always found time to actively engage in matters of interest to Africa. Ambassador Yusuf Ismail was a distinguished diplomat who served his country, Somalia, at the multilateral fora with great distinction and acumen. His love for his country was also admirable. He unfailingly referred to Somalia as my beloved country in all his statements, even at the Human Rights Council, where adherence to strict time limits for statements are observed. He would still insist in referring to Somalia as my beloved country. He never missed an opportunity to thank the African Union, IGAD, and countries contributing troops to Somalia. And yet, it is paradoxical that Ambassador Yusuf Ismail, who consistently advocated against violence for the resolution of the problems in his country, should himself fall victim of violence in his own beloved country. He will be remembered for his persevering spirit. Some of his major achievements on behalf of Somalia included ensuring that Somalia participated in the Universal Periodic Review of the Human Rights Council, and that the recommendations from this process were translated into a human rights roadmap for Somalia. In addition, he was instrumental in Somalia's ratification of ILO Core Conventions 87 on the freedom of association and the right to organize, Convention 98 on collective bargaining, as well as Convention 182 on the elimination of the worst forms of child labor. He also worked together with New Zealand and Sierra Leone to draw the ILO's attention to the high levels of unemployment in fragile states and the importance of addressing this for maintaining peace and stability. Ambassador Yusuf Ismail will also be remembered for his personal attributes. He was a truly pleasant person with a remarkable sense of humor. He was someone who was always prepared to fight ardently for what he believed in. We in the African group have lost a great man. We are reminded of a quotation by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and I quote, "Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of times." Even though his life was cut short by terrorism, Ambassador Ismail did leave his footprints on the sands of time. We convey our heartfelt condolences to the members of his bereaved family, friends, as well as the people and government of Somalia for this great loss. May Allah have mercy on Yusuf Mohamed Ismail, and may his soul rest in perfect peace. In conclusion, I would like to take this opportunity, on behalf of the African group, to express our profound concerns at the intensification of terrorist attacks in the continent, and to appeal to the international community to extend to African countries its assistance to take appropriate measures to address the scourge which is plaguing our continent. This is what Ambassador Yusuf Ismail would have wished. I thank you.
Mr. Director General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first, thank you for joining us here today to remember our good friend and esteemed colleague, Yusuf Mohamed Ismail Bari-Bari. On behalf of the United States, I want to express our deepest condolences to Yusuf's family and friends, and especially to his widow, Zamzam. Know that our hearts and minds are with you. We share in your grief in Yusuf's passing is a great loss for you, to the nation of Somalia, and to all of us here who knew him. Yusuf will be remembered for many things: his kindness, his passion, his perseverance. But he should also be recognized as a giant among men and a champion in the field of human rights. I certainly did not know Yusuf as long as some of my other colleagues, like Ambassador Stevens and Ambassador Minelik, who will speak shortly. But it doesn't take knowing Yusuf long to understand the kind of special person he was and the impact of the work that we all do. When I first came to Geneva, a number of my experts on the staffs insisted that I meet very early on with the Somali ambassador, who everybody held in such great esteem. And a couple of days later, I did indeed see him at the Palais. He greeted me with a big smile and a two-handed handshake. We discussed no business at all, but I could tell right then, right there, that he was a consummate diplomat. He was a man you wanted to work with. As many of you know, Yusuf was the kind of person who made your day better each and every time you came into contact with him. His greetings, whether at the SERP in room 20 or by text or email, often started the same. "Hello, Ambassador. In the name of Allah the Almighty, I wish you greetings. How are you? How is your family?" He would inevitably start. And for some, this might be a formality and a gesture. But you know, and I know, that for Yusuf, he was really interested in the answer to those personal questions. And for some, Yusuf knew that his delegation in Geneva did not have the most resources. In fact, he was in Mogadishu on March 27th when terrorists took him away from us because he was fighting to get a budget and salary for his mission from the government for the first time in nearly 7 years. But Yusuf knew, too, that he had a resource greater than money. He had an enviable strength that's more important than ample staff working for his delegation, the force of his abundant personality. To advance the causes he pursued, Yusuf used that personality to try to bridge differences between Somaliland and Puntland, between differences in countries within Africa and between Africa and the rest of the world. And he had the great and unwavering faith that that if we all just worked together, we could accomplish just about anything. His success was also beyond anything I think even he could have initially imagined. We were pleased to see his many accomplishments. The first International Day for People with Albinism, established last year by a resolution at the UN General Assembly. The resolution and statements he championed here at the HRC are a lasting legacy to his success on albinism, on Eritrea, on victims of sexual violence, and on issues in his native Somalia, his beloved Somalia. When I think of Yusuf, the word that most readily comes to mind is kind, for he treated everyone with a loving spirit. And the second word that comes to mind is passionate, and one could always tell that human rights issues were not academic to him. They were a passion. It would be folly, however, to mistake Yusuf's kindness, humanity, and passion for weakness or being Pollyannish, for he was also tenacious and shrewd, especially when his work sought to protect the disenfranchised and the excluded. I think for Yusuf, his secret was that he looked at people as individuals. When he talked with someone, Yusuf did not see you at your rank as ambassador or expert. He saw you as a person. He did not see the country you represented, whether a sister African one or otherwise. He did not view people differently because of religion. He had friends who were Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, and many, many other faiths. Rather, Yusuf was the kind of person who seemed to see into your soul. He had a moral compass stronger than most of us, and he sought partnership with many because he saw the moral good in most people. If you made a mistake or had a disagreement with him, and we did disagree at times, although Yusuf's view usually prevailed, he did not hold a grudge. He would usually say something like, Allah will forgive you because you did not intend to do anything wrong. But Yusuf did not give in to those who disagreed with him, even his friends. These issues were simply too consequential to him. Yusuf was taken from us by violent extremists, but they cannot take away his legacy, and his legacy will be our solace. As diplomats, we are confronted with many opportunities to be passionate and tenacious and shrewd for the right reasons and achieve the right objectives. As diplomats, we can be kind and more collaborative with our colleagues for shared objectives, and in doing so, we honor his legacy. As we remember the great defender of human rights, I understand that a fellowship has been created at the International Service for Human Rights to carry out Yusuf's work in areas such as people with albinism, migrants, and victims of sexual violence. And today we plant this tree in his memory and in his honor. May it continue to remind us all of the legacy of this great man and true champion. Zamzam, our deepest condolences to you and your family and to Somalia. And Yusuf, my brother, our friend, we will miss you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Harper. I would now like to invite Mr. Minelik Alimu Getahun, the former ambassador and permanent representative of Ethiopia to the United Nations office in Geneva, to address this meeting.
I am deeply grateful to Zamzam, to the African Group, to the Acting Director General, UNOG, Keith Harper and his colleagues in the U.S. Mission, and for all others who have organized this fitting event for our brother, and for giving me this opportunity to honor Yusuf. Yusuf and I grew very close from the time I arrived. When I started to contemplate the date when we met, it was not very easy. It's as if I knew him all my life. We stayed in close contact until a day before his tragic passing. Okay. I miss Yusuf a lot. As close friends and allies in everything we did in Geneva, it was fun to work with him. He had many ideas, very bold ideas. Normally, as Kit was saying, for light-hearted people, all his bold and daring ideas would be difficult. People will hesitate, but he will insist. He had a passion and hope for the unity and prosperity of the Horn of Africa, all people of Horn of Africa. He believed in our oneness. With his resourcefulness, Yusuf pushed us all to do better, to achieve better. Many of our achievements, he was central part in their making. Yusuf never shied away from speaking his mind and was always ready for action. As I was watching these past days, as all of you have been watching heartbreaking images of so many migrants perishing in the Mediterranean Sea, and also, as the Director General mentioned, brutal, senseless killing of Ethiopian Christians in Libya by ISIL, I was again reminded of Yusuf. The last time such magnitude of tragedy happened, Yusuf mobilized us all into action. He spoke passionately, as we all remember. He refuses to sit back when tragedy unfolds. He had a big heart and very kind heart. It was a privilege for me to have enjoyed his close friendship and passion for life, for better future, for the rights and well-being of others. One of his last text messages he sent me from Mogadishu has a picture of two goats standing on the top of a car, and they were reaching for the leaves of a tree, a long tree. And in the caption, Yusuf wrote, "Look at how audacious are Somali goats." Yusuf was also humorous, and in many ways equally audacious himself. Our region, the whole world, not just Somalia, lost this kind and fearless leader. For Zamzam, the rest of his family, and all of us have suffered an irreparable personal loss. We should still take pride in so many of his achievements, his legacy, and cherish the happy occasions we all shared with him. Today's occasion should be the first of many to come, to retell, to pursue, immortalize Yusuf's story, his vision, his hope for a better future. May God bless you so. Thank you.
I'd like to invite anyone who wishes to say a few brief words in their personal capacity to come forward.
Good afternoon. Eager ambassadors here to say that, being called to say a few words. Anyway, our sister, Madam Zamzam Ismail, Mr. Director General, distinguished ambassadors, and distinguished colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the outset on behalf of the ambassadors of Djibouti, Kenya, the Sudan, the South Sudan, Uganda, and Geneva, and on my own behalf, I would like to thank the United Nations office at Geneva for organizing the tree planting ceremony and the plaque dedication in memory of the late permanent representative of the Federal Democratic Republic of Somalia to the United Nations, Ambassador Yusuf Mohamed Bari-Bari. The late Ambassador Bari will be remembered for his firm commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights in his country, Somalia, for being a voice for the voiceless people everywhere, regardless of their ethnic background, nationality, religious beliefs, and political creeds. As we gathered at this occasion, we also remember the senseless killings of hundreds of innocent people in Kenya at Garissa University College in the northeastern part of the country, and in states in our sub-region by terrorist attacks of Al-Shabaab and its affiliates. As we remember him today, we also recall thousands of innocent persons mercilessly killed by Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups around the world, who the late Ambassador Yusuf was tirelessly defended their rights to life and live in a secured and safe society without being terrorized by any ill-intentioned groups. We believe these killings are once again an urgent call for all of us to further strengthen our solidarity with a view to taking concrete and collective actions in the fight against terrorists and defend all those defenseless people from the barbaric acts of terrorists, as we witnessed in the massacre of innocent Ethiopians in Libya by an affiliate of the ISIS a few days ago. IGAD member states once again pledged their commitment to continue to stand in solidarity with all the governments and their peoples who are fighting this scourge of terrorism that causes huge casualties in terms of life and destruction of properties. Finally, we wish to take this opportunity to sincerely commend the initiative of UNOG to organize this ceremony, which we think is not only appropriate, but concretely demonstrate the persons like late Ambassador Yusuf Mohamed Bari-Bari will always be remembered by the international community for their noble struggle in defense of human rights, in particular, the right to life. Let me add here on a personal note, I didn't know Ambassador Bari-Bari, but I met him last December in New York, and I had the opportunity to chat with him and discuss some issues concerning our sub-region. And I had a very interesting discussion, and I came to know that this is a man really dedicated to at least make our region safe in his own personal, whatever its limited and small contributions. And we both of us agreed that since I indicated to him I'm going to be Ethiopian ambassador coming to Geneva soon, we agreed that we are going to work together. And unfortunately, what happened, happened. And I didn't get that chance to work with him and promote the cause of human rights and the interest of our peoples in our sub-region and the world at large. Finally, what I observed in our discussion, when I, again, as I said, in New York, I came to know him as a person who doesn't fear death. It seems to me that he follows what in the ancient Greek, the Stoics, the philosophy that they had, we are not afraid of death. Because when we are alive, there is no death. When we die, death comes. So we don't meet. There is no reason for us to fear of death. That seems to me what he represents, his courage, his daring. This is really a very special opportunity for me to say these few words after my brother Minilik said all those with emotion, the words that he had, his close friendship, including with his wife, Madame Zamzam. Madame Zamzam, let me say to you that our prayers and thoughts go to you and to your entire family. Thank you very much.
I am a friend of Yusuf, like yourself. And I'm here just to say a few words and to remember him, as you do, as a friend, someone that was very easy to be friend with. Was enough to speak with your heart, to look into his eyes, to look into our eyes. We said so many things about his courage, his dignity, his behavior, his human behavior, and his frankness of speech, and his kindness. I think we should also say something about the sense of beauty that Yusuf had. He loved beauty, and he saw beauty in many places. And for him, beauty was an objective thing, not a subjective thing. And this is a way we became friends. We became friends at the ILO, working for Somali people, but also working towards the ideals that continue with Yusuf, ideals of peace. He was really a man of peace. And I'm sure that he will be remembered as a friend and as someone that continues to bring peace on earth through his own projects, such as the one that wanted him to restart the light in Puntland, a very important lighthouse that would dispel piracy and replace piracy with new jobs for people and hope for people. and peace in the Middle East, because he also worked for that, and we should not forget that. He had really sense of peace as universal. Again, I want to think of Yusuf as you do, as a friend, and continue to think that Yusuf could come with us right now in his beautiful, spotless dress, in his costume, national costume. And we saw him so many times in the corridors of our offices coming, joining us spontaneously with his enthusiasm, as we said, bringing us joy and hope. I also want to say that I appreciate very much the fact that we have a tree today that is planted for him, something that will remain. The last time that he came to my residence for a simple meal, he loved and he liked simple things. He liked olive oil, for instance, because he was raised on the hills of Bologna and near my hometown, Florence. He loved very simple meals, and he brought me a small plant, a plant that I'm glad to water any time that he needs it. And I'm sure that all of us now, we can look at this plant and bring a drop of water anytime that we come in this beautiful garden. Thank you.
Director General, dear colleagues, I would like to thank all the organizer who made this event possible. I would like to speak on behalf of the Arab group, since I'm the chairperson of this group currently. So اسمحوا لي أن أوجه بعض الكلمات لأرملة الفقيد سيدة زمزم. سيدتي، إنه لا حدث أليم جدا أن نعزيك كل التعزية الحارة لفقدانك لزوجك، وهو حقيقة نفقده نحن أيضا هنا في جنيف، لما عرفناه عليه من تفاني وإخلاص وحرص على خدمة مبادئ الأمم المتحدة والتي نعمل كلنا من أجلها. فبهذه الفقدان وبهذه الخسران هو في الحقيقة نخسر أحد أعمدة العمل العربي والعمل الإفريقي والعمل الدولي في جنيف. فتعازينا الحارة وتغمد الفقير برحمته الواسعة وأسكنه جنانه الفسيحة، وإن الله وإن إليه راجعون. Just it is for me an occasion to translate what I said in Arabic. Actually, for us, this moment is a moment to express our solidarity to our colleague who, by killing him following the terrorist act in Mogadishu on the 27th of March. It was for us to support the ideals that he fought for, the ideals for development, the ideals for human rights, the ideals for development and for peace also. So and with this tree that we are to implant right now, it is like we are making ourselves continue supporting his spirit and the ideals that he fought for. So so we can say finally that may his spirit rest in peace. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Asked to deliver these few sentences on behalf of activists representing persons with albinism, and I'm sure that all my NGO colleagues join these words too heartfully. The community of persons with albinism worldwide continues today to mourn the loss of one of the heroes. Ambassador Yusuf Bari-Bari was instrumental in helping us to achieve International Albinism Awareness Day last year. He sacrificed a lot to help us in this initiative, spending hours in New York ensuring that the day was established. It was finally established with his help and heroism. As we prepare to celebrate the first International Awareness Day this year, we are once again reminded of the horror of losing such a great alive friend and simply a good man. But we will not be subdued by sadness because of his legacy has greater power. The day before his passing, after we notified him that the resolution adopting an independent expert had been adopted, he responded excitedly in an email he sent only a few hours before his death, and he stated, I quote, Indeed, the noble cause of the protection and promotion of the rights of our sisters and brothers with albinisms worldwide is also mine, and I'm deeply committed to it forever, and forever was underlined. And with these prophetic words, we are too convinced that we have an ally forever. Dear Zamzam, dear colleagues, dear excellencies, with deep gratitude to our dear Ambassador Yusuf for his life and support in bringing the human rights of persons with albinism on the agenda of the Council and worldwide, we thank you, Ambassador Yusuf. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the interests of time and out of respect for Madame Zamzam, we need to conclude this ceremony very soon. We have time for only 2 more speakers, so I'd like to invite his niece to say a few words first.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you. I'd just like to say a few words. He was my uncle, and he still is my uncle. For me, still in a shock state, because I even saw him 1 month ago in Somalia. I just want to say, Uncle, we love you very much. And to my aunt, please keep strong. We are there for you. We love you. And to the United Nations people, I'm really glad that you keep on doing his work. And I just want to say thank you so much for this tree. It really means a lot to us that we can come back to a place whenever we want to. Thank you to all of you.
First of all, I would like to express on behalf of the federal government of Somalia and the people of Somalia and the permanent mission our sincere gratitude and appreciation for the solidarity expressed by the international community and the diplomatic community here in Geneva. To say a few words on the personality and the works of our champion and late ambassador, His Excellency Yusuf Mohamed Ismail Bari-Bari, I would like just to say he was a famous and a talented politician in our beloved country, and also a distinguished diplomat recognized by the international community through his dedication, commitment, and his diplomatic activity in the borders of the United Nations offices in Geneva and also in the worldwide. His death is a great loss not only for the Somali people but also for the international community. We will always remember how he changed the image and the reputation of the federal government and the people of Somalia inside the main bodies of the United Nations. We will also remember his tireless efforts to reclaim the dignity and respect of this beautiful and great nation, Somalia people. You gave us a good legacy which represents to us a model and a symbol of hope. We are really very proud and very much grateful for this beautiful gift, and it will remain in our hearts forever. May Allah reward you the most honorable and the highest rank of Jannatul Firdausa. Ameen. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
I'm quite emotive because I knew personally Ambassador Bari-Bari. He helped us a lot on the question of albinism, and he was introduced to us by Ambassador of Djibouti and Ambassador of Mali. And we organized event during the commemoration of the International Day on the elimination of racial discrimination with Salif Keita, the famous singer, suffering from albinism. And what I can say is that Ambassador Bari-Bari is human. He has a sense of, I don't know what is the English term of empathy. He loves people. I know he loves Africa, but he loves the world. And from my country, Senegal, I think he was someone who liked Senegal. And he used to tell me, Maktar, Nanga Def, which is our salutation in Wolof. So all what I wanted to say, but the Office of the High Commissioner knows him also. And he helped us, we worked together, and we appreciated him a lot. Sorry for my emotion.
Thank you very much, sir. Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, it is only fitting that I should invite his beloved widow, Zamzam Abshir.
Je n'arrive pas à parler. C'est ma nièce qui va lire. Merci beaucoup de votre compréhension.
Good afternoon. My name is Wilson. I'm reading the statement on the behalf of my grandmother, Zamzam Abshir Ismail, who is a spouse of the late Ambassador Yusuf Mohamed Ismail, who was known to many of you as Yusuf Bari-Bari. This is a Zamzam statement. Dearest, don't worry, these things will be resolved. Yusuf said this as he lay bleeding and seriously wounded after the horrific attack on 27th of March. This is what he always said, even in the worst moments. He always found ways to comfort me and other people, even under the most difficult circumstances. He was somebody profoundly honest with the highest integrity. He took to heart the rights of women, the disenfranchised, minorities, persons with albinism, and especially those of people who had no voice. You saw him at the UN as a colleague, extremely engaged and active in many areas, particularly on human rights. Sometimes his tenacity could be annoying, but his heart was always in the right place. For us, he was also a loving husband, a wonderful father to his children and grandchildren, a kind neighbor who always had a smile and friendly greeting for everybody, starting with the concierge in our building. For the past 7 years, he worked under very difficult conditions, with few resources both in Geneva and Somalia. He faced danger and adversity in his frequent visits to his home country, and eventually this resulted in the tragic loss of his life. I'm very grateful for this tree planting ceremony and to all those who have made this event possible, directly or indirectly. I also thank all of you for your presence here today. Yusuf would surely have been very happy with this event and would have invited you all for a camel milk party. I look forward to maintaining contact with you as we move forward together in working for Yusuf's legacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Zamzam. I would like now to invite Ambassador Harper, Ambassador Getahun, Can I have the shot, please? Excuse me. If there's anyone else who would like to help in the tree planting ceremony, please come forward now. And if we could do it in an orderly manner, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. And
مدام رحمة الله عليه أحمد
That's why she's on the right.
Focus. Oh, you're right.